Let me tell you a hard truth. Your 20s are not the golden years you think they are. We're told that this is the best, most carefree time of our lives, but the reality is that it's full of painful stumbles, bad decisions, and lessons that force you to wake up. If I could go back in time, I would grab my 20-year-old self by the shoulders and shout, "Stop! Stop wasting your time trying to impress people who don't matter and start focusing on what truly does." I was wrong to think I had all the time in the world. I spent every weekend partying, chasing illusions of success, and constantly worrying about what others thought of me. But one night, as I sat alone in my empty apartment, exhausted, stressed, and burned out, I realized a harsh truth. None of it mattered. Your 20s aren't about living recklessly and enjoying everything life throws your way. They're about laying the foundation for the future you truly want. But no one tells you that when you're young. And if you don't wake up to this fact early, you risk letting time slip by in regret. That's why I'm here today, to share the hard-earned lessons my 20s taught me at a great cost. Because the sooner you face this truth, the sooner you can stop wandering aimlessly and start building a life you're genuinely proud of. The first brutal truth: people care less about you than you think. Have you ever felt like all the spotlight is on you, every eye watching, every little action scrutinized? Here's a brutal truth that's both painful and liberating. No one cares about you as much as you think they do. We grow up feeling like the whole world is watching our every move, but the reality is, most people are too busy with their own worries, insecurities, and issues to truly pay attention to you. That's right. You're not the star of their story. They are the star of their own. When I was in my 20s, I was obsessed with what others thought of me. At work, at social gatherings, even online, I was stuck in an endless loop of self-doubt. Did I say the wrong thing? Do they think I'm smart enough? Am I dressed well enough? I vividly remember a time when I made a small mistake during a work presentation. For weeks, I convinced myself that everyone was gossiping about me behind my back, calling me incompetent. I lost sleep over it, blaming myself for something that, as it turned out, no one even remembered the next day. While I was agonizing over my supposed failure, everyone else had already moved on. This doesn't just apply to embarrassing moments. Think about social media. We constantly post pictures, updates, and stories, hoping for recognition, likes, or admiration. But the truth is, people scroll past your life just as quickly as you scroll past theirs. Can you even recall the last post you saw 5 minutes ago? Neither can they. They're too busy worrying about how their own post is being perceived. Realizing this might bruise your ego, but it's also one of the most freeing truths you'll ever encounter. Once you understand that people aren't paying as much attention to you as you think, you can stop trying so hard to impress. I started wearing clothes that made me feel comfortable, regardless of trends. I began speaking up in meetings without fear of sounding foolish. And I took risks, knowing that even if I failed, no one was losing sleep over my mistakes, except me. There's something profoundly liberating about realizing you don't have to constantly perform for an audience that isn't even watching. When you let go of the idea that everyone's attention is on you, you free up an incredible amount of mental energy. You stop living to impress others and start living for yourself. That's where true growth begins. You'll feel empowered to take risks, make mistakes, and pursue your passions without constantly looking over your shoulder. At the end of the day, the only opinion that truly matters on your journey is your own. You're the one who has to live with your decisions, your regrets, and your successes. So, make choices that align with your values and goals, not what you think others expect of you. Because honestly, they're not paying nearly as much attention as you believe. The second brutal truth: perfection is a lie. In your 20s, it's easy to get caught up in an invisible race against the illusion of perfection you've created for yourself. The ideal career, a flawless relationship, a perfect version of who you are, these become obsessive goals, driving you to push yourself endlessly to achieve them. But here's the hard truth: perfection doesn't exist. It's nothing more than a mirage constructed by society and the media, a destination that keeps moving further away the closer you think you are to it. I was once consumed by the pursuit of perfection. I told myself that if I just worked a little harder, polished myself a little more, I'd finally earn that ultimate recognition. But every time I achieved something, new standards emerged. A small mistake at work, a poor decision in a relationship, or simply failing to do everything perfectly would send me spiraling into relentless self-criticism. I didn't feel like I was moving forward. Instead, I felt trapped, like I was running on a hamster wheel, exerting all my energy but getting nowhere. Here's the issue: perfection isn't just unattainable. It's a mental trap that keeps you stuck in a cycle of self-judgment and perpetual dissatisfaction. But when I began to understand that imperfection is part of being human, everything changed. I realized that instead of chasing an unrealistic ideal, I could focus on the journey, where I am allowed to make mistakes, learn, and grow. The greatest artists, renowned authors, and successful entrepreneurs didn't achieve greatness by being perfect. They succeeded through perseverance, embracing failure, and most importantly, by being willing to share their imperfect work with the world. You don't need a flawless masterpiece, you just need to start and keep going. Here's a brutal but essential truth: perfection is a lie. It doesn't define your worth. Your value lies in progress, in each small step forward, in the courage to face failure, and in the ability to see your imperfections as opportunities to grow. The cracks in who you are aren't signs of weakness. They're where the light of your strength and resilience shines through. Embrace them, because that's how you'll find true fulfillment and live a meaningful life. The third brutal truth: your emotions will mislead you. One of the harshest truths, and perhaps the hardest to accept, is that your emotions are unreliable. They are not absolute truths, but fleeting reactions to external circumstances. If you let them take the wheel, they will steer you far off the path you truly want to follow. In my 20s, I allowed emotions to dictate most of my decisions, and that led to countless mistakes I wish I could undo. When I was angry, I said hurtful words that I later regretted. When I was disappointed, I abandoned important goals. And when I was ecstatic, I rushed into impulsive decisions without considering the consequences. Let me share a personal story. I once had a heated argument with my best friend over something trivial. Consumed by anger, I said harsh, cutting words in the heat of the moment. Though my anger eventually faded, the damage remained. A friendship that had taken years to build was deeply wounded because I allowed my emotions to take control. Emotions are like fire, intense, passionate, but capable of burning everything to the ground if left unchecked. Sadness and frustration can be just as dangerous. There were times when I felt so overwhelmed by challenges that I wanted to give up on everything. Whether it was a job, a relationship, or a personal goal, I often let my emotions convince me that the fight wasn't worth it. I abandoned a project I was deeply passionate about simply because, in the moment, it felt too hard. Looking back, I realized that if I had persevered just a little longer, I could have overcome those struggles and grown stronger from the experience. Love, too, is a prime example. I stayed in toxic relationships far longer than I should have because my emotions deceived me into believing that things could be fixed. The attachment, fear of loneliness, and misplaced hope blinded me to the reality of the situation. In hindsight, I see how my emotions trapped me in a situation that was damaging to my mental health. But here's the key lesson from Stoicism. Emotions are temporary. They come and go, flaring up in the moment and fading just as quickly. However, the decisions you make under the influence of emotions can leave lasting consequences. Imagine making decisions while driving in a storm. The wind howls, the rain pours, and visibility is poor. One wrong move can lead to disaster. Emotions are much the same. They cloud your judgment and push you to react in ways you might later regret. Stoicism doesn't teach you to suppress your emotions, but to observe them. Think of your emotions as clouds passing across the sky of your mind. Recognize them, understand them, but don't let them take control. Ask yourself, does this action align with my values? Does it serve my long-term goals? When you master the art of detaching from your emotions, you are no longer their puppet. You make decisions based on reason, clarity, and what truly matters to you. The profound message here is that while emotions may mislead you, you don't have to let them define your life. Don't build a life based on fleeting reactions. Let reason guide you. Because when you begin to act with calmness and purpose, you not only gain control over your emotions, but also over your entire life. Fourth, discipline outweighs motivation. Motivation is a sweet deceiver. It arrives like a refreshing breeze, igniting a flame of enthusiasm within you, making you feel invincible, ready to conquer the world. But motivation is fleeting. It's like an uninvited guest, showing up unexpectedly, only to disappear without notice. Relying on it to achieve your goals is like waiting for the perfect weather to set sail. You could end up waiting forever and never leave the shore. Discipline, on the other hand, is your steadfast companion. It's not flashy or glamorous, but it's reliable, unwavering, and always there to push you forward, regardless of your mood or circumstances. When I was in my 20s, I often let motivation guide me. I would start projects with excitement and energy, only to abandon them the moment that initial spark faded. I told myself, I'll get back to it when I feel inspired again. What I failed to realize was that inspiration doesn't create progress. The people who achieve great things don't wait to feel motivated. They act every single day, whether they want to or not. That realization hit me hard. Discipline, not motivation, is what builds success. Discipline is the art of choosing your goals over fleeting emotions. When you cultivate discipline, you are no longer at the mercy of bad days, moments of doubt, or the temptation to procrastinate. You act because you understand that small, consistent steps accumulate into monumental results. It's like building a bridge. Each brick you lay, no matter how small or mundane, is an essential part of the final structure. And when the bridge is complete, you'll see it was those quiet, steady efforts that carried you to where you wanted to be. Motivation is a spark. It can ignite an idea. But that spark can only become a lasting flame when you have the discipline to fuel it. By abandoning your reliance on motivation and choosing consistency instead, you take control of your path. You become stronger in the face of challenges and build the resilience needed to achieve what truly matters. Don't wait for motivation. Start now, keep working, and let discipline take you to places that motivation never could. 5. Your circle will get smaller. When you're in your 20s, it's easy to believe that friendships will last forever. You think the endless laughter, shared dreams, and secret jokes are proof of an unbreakable bond. But the harsh reality is that friendships, like everything else in life, require effort, alignment, and sometimes the courage to let go. As you grow older, face new challenges and change, you realize that not everyone will stay with you on your journey. This truth is painful, but it's also necessary. In my 20s, I had a wide circle of friends, people I believed would be by my side for life. Over the years, though, that circle began to shrink. Some friends moved away, others prioritized their families or careers, and some simply drifted as our values and interests evolved. At first, I felt a deep sense of loss, as if I had done something wrong, but then I realized it wasn't anyone's fault. It was just the natural course of life. People don't leave because they don't care. They leave because their path has taken a different direction. Friendships aren't always forever, and that doesn't diminish their value. Some people enter your life to teach you lessons, help you through tough times, or share joy during certain chapters. But as those chapters close, the relationships often do too. This tough truth helps you understand that not everyone is meant to walk the entire journey with you, and that's perfectly okay. Something transformative happens when your circle of friends becomes smaller. You gain clarity about who truly deserves a place in your life. In my early 20s, I tried to be friends with everyone, thinking that a bigger circle meant greater success. But over time, I learned that quality always outweighs quantity. I started prioritizing friends who shared my values, supported my goals, and encouraged me to grow. Letting go of shallow relationships didn't make me lonelier, it made me feel lighter. My relationships became fewer, but deeper and more meaningful. Stoic philosophy teaches us that external attachments should never become the foundation of our happiness. A true friend is a companion on your journey, not a distraction from your path. Letting go of relationships that no longer serve you doesn't just clear emotional space. It opens the door for relationships that genuinely matter. This isn't selfish, it's self-respect and growth. The profound takeaway here is that as you grow older, your circle will shrink, but it's not a loss, it's refinement. The people who remain are those who align with who you are becoming, who will stand by you through highs and lows, and who truly enrich your life. Don't fear a smaller social circle, embrace it. In the end, a meaningful connection is far more valuable than any number of superficial ones. 6. You'll fail more than you succeed. Failure is inevitable, but it's not your enemy. Instead, failure is the toughest teacher you'll ever encounter, a mentor who pushes you to the ground just to show you how to rise stronger. It's painful to admit, but here's the harsh truth. You will fail many times, and most likely you'll fail more than you succeed. In my 20s, I was consumed by a fear of failure. I believed every stumble was a verdict on my worth, a permanent stain of inadequacy I could never erase. That fear held me back from seizing opportunities, facing big challenges, and even trying at all. But then life taught me this. Failure isn't the end, it's a stepping stone. It's how the universe forces you to confront yourself, exposing your limits and flaws so you can overcome them. Every failure didn't diminish my worth, it built a better version of me. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed more than 10,000 times before inventing the light bulb. When asked about those failures, he famously said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This isn't just a comforting phrase. It's the mindset of someone who understands that success and failure are inseparable. Make no mistake, failure is rarely pleasant. It keeps you up at night, fills you with self-doubt, and sometimes breaks your spirit. But in those painful moments, you learn lessons no book, no advice, and no motivational quote could ever teach you. Failure reveals your weaknesses, tests your patience and resilience, and shows you that everything worthwhile demands a fight. I once failed miserably on a major project that I had poured my heart and soul into. At first, I felt humiliated, like all my efforts had been for nothing. But in hindsight, that failure gave me the skills, the experience, and the wisdom I needed to succeed on my next attempt. Failure didn't destroy me. It prepared me for success. Here's the profound truth. Failure isn't a bad thing. It's an essential part of the journey to success. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to prepare for greater achievements. So when you fail, get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. Because resilience, not perfection, is what leads to lasting success. 7. Ego will ruin you. The ego is like a sly manipulator whispering in your ear that you are unique, invincible, and that you don't need anyone. In your 20s, as you're trying to carve out a career and establish your identity, the ego often creeps in, convincing you that you already know all the answers. It pushes you to reject advice, ignore feedback, and overlook opportunities for growth because you don't need them. But here's the harsh truth. The ego is the biggest barrier to your growth. It doesn't just hold you back, it leads you astray on the path to becoming the best version of yourself. I was once a victim of my own ego. I remember the early days of my career believing that asking for help would make me appear weak, that admitting mistakes was a sign of failure. I overlooked valuable opportunities because I was afraid they would expose my flaws. I let my ego protect my pride, but the cost was stagnation, repeated mistakes, and missing out on crucial lessons. Ironically, what I thought would protect me was actually destroying me. Stoic philosophy consistently reminds us that the ego is a burden, not a shield. The ego blinds us to our weaknesses and traps us in a cycle of self-satisfaction. It craves comfort, thrives on praise, and avoids challenges that might make it vulnerable. But here's the irony. The greatest individuals aren't those who are always right. They're the ones who are always willing to learn, always ready to admit they don't know everything. I realized this when I started putting my ego aside and listening to those around me. I discovered that humility isn't weakness, it's the strength to expand yourself. When you dare to admit your imperfections, you create space to grow. The most successful people I admire share a common trait. They don't hesitate to learn from failure, from mentors, and from their own limitations. The ego is not confidence. It's a shackle holding you back. Letting go of the ego isn't about abandoning pride. It's about opening the door to reach your true potential. When you let go of the need to always be right or to seek validation, you begin to see more clearly, listen more deeply, and grow more sustainably. True confidence doesn't come from shielding yourself from failure, but from learning from it. The profound message is this: the ego will destroy you if you let it. Choose humility, for humility is the key to unlocking the doors to growth, resilience, and true success. Letting go of the ego isn't a loss. It's the greatest gift you can give yourself on the journey to becoming your best self. 8. Health is everything. Health, often taken for granted, is actually one of the most fragile and precious things in life. When you're young, you think your physical and mental strength is limitless. You stay up late, eat on the go, and push your body to its limits, believing you'll have plenty of time to fix it later. But here's the harsh truth I wish I had learned sooner. Without good health, everything else in life loses its meaning. In my 20s, I treated my health like an endless resource. I pulled all-nighters for work, relied on quick meals, and fueled myself with caffeine. I thought I was doing the right thing, sacrificing for my career and goals. But the truth was, I was burning the candle at both ends, slowly draining my energy and resilience. At first, I didn't notice. I kept pushing forward, acting as if I were invincible. But then, sleepless nights, mounting stress, and an increasingly tired body started to betray me. What once felt like my strength turned into a burden. Health isn't just about avoiding illness. It's the foundation for building everything else. It's the energy to chase your dreams, the clarity to make sound decisions, and the armor to face life's challenges. A strong body and a sharp mind are invaluable assets, but only if you take care of and value them starting today. The small habits you neglect in your youth, late nights, poor eating, lack of exercise, will add up and come at a steep cost later. And it's not just physical health. Mental health is just as vital. I used to ignore the signs of burnout, convincing myself I just needed to push a little harder. But the truth is, your mind needs rest too. Otherwise, stress, pressure, and repressed emotions will wear you down from the inside out. One day you'll wake up and realize you're no longer yourself, that even the simplest joys feel out of reach. Here's the biggest lesson I've learned. Health isn't a given. It's an investment. The small actions you take today, going for a walk, eating a nutritious meal, getting enough sleep, taking time to reflect, are investments that will pay off in the long run. Your health is the foundation for everything. If you don't take care of it, everything else becomes fragile. The profound truth here is that health is your most valuable asset. Treat your body and mind as the irreplaceable treasures they are. When you invest in your health, you're not just preparing for success, you're preparing to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. Remember, only when you're healthy can you truly enjoy the life you've worked so hard to build. 9. Material things won't bring happiness. Have you ever thought that happiness lies just beyond your next purchase? A new phone, a designer pair of shoes, or a bigger apartment might seem like the ticket to fulfillment. Society constantly tells us that more is the answer, that owning just a bit more will complete us. But here's the harsh truth. Material things only bring fleeting joy. The excitement of buying something new, it fades faster than you'd expect. That cycle of wanting, achieving, and then feeling disappointed continues endlessly, leaving you emptier than before. I've been trapped in that cycle. I saved up every penny to buy things I believed would make me feel complete. A brand new phone, luxurious furniture, high-end shoes, they gave me fleeting satisfaction. But the joy quickly vanished, replaced by the next craving, the next upgrade. This loop went on, and no matter how much I acquired, it never truly made me happy. Because the truth is, material possessions can never fill the deeper voids we're really trying to satisfy. Real happiness doesn't come from how much you own. It comes from who you become and the meaningful experiences and relationships you build. Studies even show that after your basic needs are met, having more wealth and possessions has little impact on your happiness. What truly brings lasting fulfillment isn't found on store shelves, but in memorable experiences, deep relationships, and personal growth. Things money simply can't buy. When we tie our happiness to material possessions, we fall into the trap of the hedonic treadmill, constantly chasing the next thing to sustain that fleeting sense of joy. And the saddest part, those possessions are fragile. They can break, be lost, or be replaced. And they rarely live up to the expectations we place on them. When your happiness is tied to what you own, it becomes fragile, temporary, and always out of reach. On the other hand, satisfaction derived from relationships, experiences, and personal growth never fades. Time spent with loved ones, lessons learned, goals achieved, or acts of kindness done for others. These are the things that truly enrich life. And the magic is, when you focus on these, you not only find your life becoming richer, but you also realize that you need far less to feel fulfilled. The profound message here is, material possessions can make life comfortable, but they cannot make it meaningful. True happiness comes from within and is built on the foundation of relationships, experiences, and personal development. When you stop searching for happiness in things you can buy and start investing in who you are, you'll discover a deep, lasting joy that is entirely your own. The last brutal truth. Sacrifices are necessary. The hard truth you must accept. In life, nothing truly meaningful comes without sacrifice. In your 20s, it's tempting to believe you can have it all, experience everything life has to offer without limits or compromise. But the bitter reality is this: progress, success, and growth often come with a price, and learning to prioritize what truly matters means letting go of what doesn't serve those priorities. It's a tough lesson, but the sooner you embrace it, the sooner you free yourself from aimlessness and uncertainty. I once believed I could do it all. Juggle a perfect career, a vibrant social life, time for personal passions, and relaxing moments with family. I tried to balance everything at once, striving to please everyone, refusing to let go of anything. But harsh reality taught me that spreading myself too thin only led to burnout and stagnation. Every day, I ended up exhausted, achieving nothing significant, and feeling like I was wasting precious time in my life. It took me years to realize that to move forward, I had to make hard choices. I had to learn to say no to fleeting temptations, temporary pleasures, and even seemingly harmless habits. I had to let go of aimless evenings, shallow social interactions, and projects that didn't serve a bigger purpose. But in return, I gained focus and the time to truly invest in what mattered most: my career, my health, and meaningful relationships. Think of an Olympic athlete training for the Games. They sacrifice late-night parties, indulgent meals, and sometimes even superficial friendships to stick to their regimen. Our lives are no different. Success doesn't come from trying to do it all, but from having the courage to let go and focus on what truly counts. Your 20s are a whirlwind of discovery, ambition, and yes, missteps. But if you understand the value of sacrifice and learn to prioritize, you'll avoid unnecessary disappointments later. Remember, life isn't about perfection, it's about growth and purpose. Build a solid foundation for yourself today, one that will support a life not just of success, but of deep meaning. Accept that this journey will be challenging, but with every step, you're moving closer to the best version of yourself, a life you truly deserve. Those were the 10 brutal truths I wish I had known in my 20s. Lessons that not only helped me overcome challenges, but also built a foundation for a more meaningful and fulfilling life. These truths may be hard to accept, but they shape who you are and help you become the best version of yourself. If you've made it to the end of this video, I want you to be proud of yourself. Leave a comment below saying, "I remember it, so I know who the true champions are who completed this journey." Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss any meaningful content in the future. Together, we're not just learning but inspiring each other to live a life of greater purpose. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.